Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 movies that should be more popular. Let me clarify this. The movies I'm gonna be talking about, pretty much most of them are well-received films. Pretty much a lot of these movies, most people I know fucking love these movies. They're fantastic movies, and I'm not saying that these movies are really maybe underrated or anything. Well, some of them are, but I think most people can say that these films are good movies. That's not what I'm debating here. I'm talking about these movies that I feel like they should just be more popular than they are right now. Like, a lot of people don't talk enough about these movies, and people should. Some of these films are some of the greatest films I've personally ever watched. And the fact that not a lot of people talk about them enough is a little annoying and stuff, and it's hard to comprehend why people don't respect these films as much as I and maybe others do and stuff. And I find it odd and stuff. So I thought I'd talk about the top 10 movies that should be more popular than they are right now. And yes, there's always for a top 10 list, you gotta have your honorable mentions. My honorable mentions are From Up on Poppy Hill, Rescuers Down Under, Tower, High Noon, Tango and Cash, Tombstone, and Last Action Hero. All great films that should be a lot more popular. Just couldn't make the top 10 list. But did make my top 10 is my number 10. My number 10 is a Disney film that came out in 1982, and that is Tron. Tron was not a really well-liked when it came out. It's a very clustered film, some people thought, and a very boring film, and it was very hard to follow, and a lot of kids wanted to see it. They just wanted to see a fun sci-fi action film, and that's not really what they got. And so a lot of people didn't always know how to take Tron and stuff. And even the sequel, I say the sequel is very flawed, but I think the first one's a legit great film. I even have a huge soft spot. I think the Tron Legacy is an underrated film, but this one should be a lot more popular than it is. Yes, it's in Kingdom Hearts 2, which is great and all, but this should be a lot more of a popular film. I feel like it has a cultural impact. I think it has some great, clever storytelling, a terrific performance by Jeff Bridges. It's very well structured and very well directed. Some of the visuals are a bit dated, but pretty groundbreaking for 1982. Not as good as another 1982 film I'll be talking about, but still a really groundbreaking, visually stunning film. And I think there's a lot of great adult themes. And I feel like it's a Disney film that kids can watch if they can really grasp and understand it. But it's a Disney film that mostly adults can watch and understand, especially people who are into technology and computers and even video games. People can get really invested and intrigued with this sort of story. And I think Tron is a terrific film, and I think it should be a lot more popular than it really is. So Tron is definitely a film I really love. At number 9 is Some Kind of Wonderful. This movie is written by John Hughes, not directed, but written by John Hughes. It's a very, very John Hughes sort of film, and this one doesn't get any love by no means. A very overlooked film, but yeah, it's a really great romance, comedy, dramatic film, and a terrific coming-of-age story with a great performance by Eric Stoltz. Very overlooked performance by Eric Stoltz. And this is just a John Hughes film that no one talks about. When people talk John Hughes, they talk about Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, 16 Candles, even Pretty in Pink, but no one really talks about Some Kind of Wonderful. And it's a terrific film and a very pretty edgy film at its time, and it's got a lot of great performances, a lot of likable and relatable characters. And out of certain coming of age stories, I think this one should get a lot more love, and I think it should be a lot more popular, like all of other John Hughes' films. So very underrated film. Anyways, coming in number 8 is Elita Battle Angel. Elita Battle Angel, I think a lot of people can say now that it was very underrated, very overlooked in the box office, and a terrific film. I think Elita Battle Angel should be a lot more popular than it is. Most people were calling it the underrated film of last year, but now this year, no one's still talking about it, really. People just kind of got off the Elita talk, which is a shame, because I feel like Elita Battle Angel should get a sequel. I think it should be a franchise. But it probably won't. Sad. I think it's a terrific film. It's a great story about what it means to be human and what it means to be an android. I think it's a badass action film. I think every scene with Elita and Christoph Waltz is fucking awesome. I think the ending is really cool. I think the visuals are groundbreaking. I think it's one of the best directed Robert Rodriguez films in a very long time, and it should be a lot more popular than it is. So, anyways, number 7, I've talked about this before, The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys is one of the best comedy films of the decade, last decade. It's one of the best films of 2016. It's a fucking great film. Russell Crowe, Ryan Gosling, kick ass. Is one of my favorite Shane Black movies. And no one saw it, and still not enough people are talking about it. It should be more popular than it is. It's not as popular as like a Lethal Weapon, but it should be. It's a fantastic movie. Because no one saw this movie and no one really cares to see it anymore of these movies, we're not going to get a sequel. Shane Black wanted to make more Nice Guy movies, and we're never going to get that. Which sucks, because this movie was amazing. It was funny. It was dark. It had awesome characters. It was raunchy. It just didn't give a fuck about political correctness, and I fucking loved it. It was amazing, and one of my favorite performances by Ryan Gosling. It's a great movie. So sad that won't never get a sequel to that. It's some fucking bullshit. Anyways, number 6 is Serenity. Serenity is the Firefly movie. I understand why a lot of people, didn't want to see this movie, because if you didn't watch Firefly, you might be a little confused. But I think Firefly itself is a pretty overlooked show, and a lot of people should watch it. And basically the same with Serenity. Serenity is a solid fucking movie, and it should be a lot more popular. The Firefly franchise should be a lot more popular. So Firefly and Serenity should be more popular than it is. And it's coming number 5. I thought I'd go different with a baseball comedy called Bull Durham. When people think Kevin Costner baseball movie, first thing that comes to their mind, Field of Dreams. I understand. Field of Dreams is a great movie. But Bull Durham's a better movie. But Bull Durham is funny. And anytime someone thinks of like a raunchy baseball film, first thing they think of is like Major League. That's another funny film. I love Major League, but Bull Durham is a better film. Bull Durham is better than the Field of Dreams. Bull Durham is better than Major League. Bull Durham is so fucking great. It's funny. It's raunchy. It's got great characters. Both Susan Sarandon, Kevin Costner, and Tim Robbins are terrific in this film. It's just like about the small town baseball team trying to make themselves bigger than they are and stuff. And it's about a bat catcher and a pitcher. They bump heads with each other, but they have to learn how to cooperate to make a good team and stuff. And it's very vulgar, very crass, very in your face, but I fucking love it. Love Bull Durham. Number 4 is probably the most overlooked Western I've ever seen in my life. And it's amazing. It's called Silverado. Silverado is written and directed by Lawrence Kasdan. And Lawrence Kasdan has done some great films. Like, he wrote Empire Strikes Back. Amazing film. He's also directed some quality films. Like, Grand Canyon's a really great movie and stuff. And I really love Silverado. Silverado is a great film. It's a great, fun, hilarious, enjoyable, swashbuckling Western adventure ride. And every time I talk about Silverado, no one knows what Silverado is. Like, it just goes over their head. Like, what the fuck is Silverado? It's a great movie. It's another Kevin Costner movie. Kevin Costner, Kevin Kline, Danny Glover. Who the fuck else? The guy from Silence of the Lambs. What the fuck's his name? The guy that plays Crawford. But I can't know his name. But anyways, a lot of great cast in this movie. John Cleese is in it as well, and it's one of Lawrence Kasdan's best films, other than like Empire Strikes Back. And I think it should be more popular than it is. It should be one of the most popular Westerns ever made. Number 3, I have to always bring this up. Your Name. Your Name, directed by Makoto Shinkai. Probably one of the greatest anime films I've ever seen in a long time. Like, I think this, Spirited Away, and Fantasia are like the greatest anime films I've ever seen in my life. Just Your Name's amazing. It blows me away. It's absolutely breathtaking. It's animation, it's stories, it's characters. Just why, other than the anime community, no one talks about this movie. No one knows about this movie. This should be considered as like one of the greatest anime films of all time, but it's never considered. Fuck my life. Number 2 is a classic film with Audrey Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine called The Children's Hour. The Children's Hour is very ahead of its time film. And again, when a lot of people think of Shirley MacLaine or Audrey Hepburn, they don't ever think about this movie. They think of like Tears of Endearment, or they think of The Nun Story, or My Fair Lady, and stuff like that. You know, the typical ones, Breakfast at Tiffany's, you know, the typical Audrey Hepburn movies. But this is like her best film. Both Shirley MacLaine and Audrey Hepburn gave Oscar-worthy performances, and it's a story that's very compelling, very dark, and very bleak. And it talks about homosexuality, and it talks about society and how people don't accept you in society. It's a film that was way ahead of its time, and I feel like that's why a lot of people didn't like it, and a lot of people didn't talk about it now. But now, more than ever, I think people should be watching this movie, and I considered it one of the greatest films ever made. Number 1 for me, though, it's funny. I didn't do this on purpose, but Blade Runner. Blade Runner, more than ever, should be more popular. Blade Runner is the most anti-PC film and the most raw film ever made. Blade Runner is one of the greatest films I've ever seen. It's my favorite film of all time. I'm going to do a whole video, actually, about Blade Runner. I'm going to do a whole video about talking about how amazing and masterful and how well-crafted Blade Runner is. So, yeah. I know a lot of people like Blade Runner 2049 better. I think that movie's amazing too, but it's nowhere near as good and pristine as Blade Runner 1982. I think Blade Runner 1982 tackles things that no films have ever tackled still to this day. I think Blade Runner is a film that's not afraid to be raw and gritty, and not a film. It's not afraid to offend people and be as gratuitous as it can. Now, when I mean gratuitous, I don't mean in its violence, but I mean in its content matter. I think it's one of the most deep and profound films I've ever seen. I think films wish they were as compelling and as raw, as enjoyable and as unique and artistic as Blade Runner is. And I heard a lot of people call it boring and pretentious, and films that done Blade Runner but done Blade Runner better. And I'm like, strongly disagree. I feel like you don't know what you're talking about. I feel like you don't understand why Blade Runner. I'm not saying you don't understand the movie. I just don't think you understand how great the movie is. I think it's one of the greatest films, and I think it should be one of the most popular films ever made. I'm going to do a whole video about Blade Runner and why it's my favorite film of all time. But until then, I'm going to end this video off and say, yeah, that was my top 10 movies I think should be more popular. But yeah, in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with this top 10 list? If not, what are movies you think should be more popular? Movies that are good and well received, but they should be more popular than they are. Give me your thoughts and opinions. Comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.